Good morning. Happy Saturday. Well, for some people, it's afternoon, and some people, it's evening. So, happy day, whatever it is for you. Today, I would like to talk about the incredible family. I shared a little bit about it earlier this week, so I'd like to talk about more. I'm finding more about this program. I became an influencer, which means basically that I share it to let people know I'm looking at becoming a coach for this program. So, anyhow, go ahead and utilize the comments. Hello from India. Hi, got some of my Indian friends here. Welcome. Glad you're here. So let me know where you're from, and I will be taking questions and comments as usual. Please don't spam my comments. They will be deleted. It is not appreciated. All right. Hello from Pakistan. Awesome. We're getting some people in. Thank you. Welcome. So I want to talk about family. So what is family? When you look it up, basically the first definition that comes up about family is a group consisting of parents and children living together in a household. Now we know that today family will include lots of different people. Families look different. But generally, families, when we think of the word family, we think of kids. Hi, Judith. Thank you for coming on. And hello, South Africa, and Indiana, and London, and Pakistan. Welcome, everybody. So, family nowadays looks very different. We have mixed and blended families. We have families with one parent. We have families with two parents. We have families of people cohabitating. We have people who are married. We have same gender families. Families look very different now, or at least widely, now that we have social media and everything is very easily shared across the world, across cities. So it's definitely more well known how families look up, uh, their makeup, and how different they are. So The Incredible Family is a program that has been started by Anna and Brandon Miller based on their book. I shared that. Play to Their Strengths. It's a great book. I'm in a book club with it now. And in our club, we have parents who are in different parts of their journey as parents. I, for one, my kids, you guys know, my baby, 23, actually left the house. We're empty nesters. I do have two grandchildren. They're in another state. So I don't get to have the intimate relationship watching them grow. We do videos, but it's not the same as getting to know your child. And I'm definitely introducing this program to my son and my daughter-in-law. As you all know, I'm a Gallup certified strengths coach, and I'm a strengths champion, a strengths cheerleader. There's so much you can do with strengths to get to know yourself, to get to know your team, to get to know your spouse, to get to know your colleagues and work together. You can understand yourself better. You can invest in your strengths to make them stronger. You can address your challenges using your strengths to overcome obstacles. So, welcome Bangladesh and Mexico. So, anyhow, Brandon Miller is also a Gallup certified strengths coach, and they have 7 children. And I think was the first 3 that they said they parented the traditional way, right? And when we look at our children, generally we want to see them be successful in life, and it's our version of success, right? Like my parents, for instance, thought I should be an engineer. It's where the money was. I did well in school. I didn't want to be an engineer. It was definitely not, now knowing my strengths, it was not in line with my strengths. I would have not done well in college because although I was good at math, I did not excel in math. It's not a strength for me. I would have struggled. So I did not go that route. And thankfully, they didn't push me. But that was their dream for me. So as we look at our children and we have dreams and hopes, we kind of think we know what they're going to be good at and what they should do. And generally, society looks at where they're going to make the most money. That's where they should be plugged into. Well, I think a lot of us now know that money is not everything, right? Money does not buy happiness. It may give you some things that give you some temporary happiness or good feelings, but it's really working in an area that comes easy for you, that you're good at, that you will receive your most joy. An inner joy, that's something that you cannot purchase. Anyhow, I can talk about that forever. I've talked about it before. I'll talk about it again. But when we look at our kids, we really want our kids to have that. So Annalyn and Brandon did do traditionally try to fit their kids that might be squares into the round hole, so to speak, and get them to do what society wanted them to do. I know my kids know I talk about them all the time. My son, who was highly energetic, loved to talk to everybody. The schools wanted us to make him sit still, listen to lectures, all the way up, from middle school on up. Just sit in your seat and listen to the teacher talk. Well, even of us that can sit and listen, if it's boring, it's boring, period. It is not necessarily an ideal place for your kids to learn. If you have a kid that is very hands-on in learning and learns by doing things, they will not be as successful in school if it's all reading and writing, right? So that's like, I think that old saying that if you take let's say, a rabbit and a monkey, and the test to pass was to have them to climb a tree, obviously the rabbit can't climb the tree, but that doesn't mean they're not strong in other areas and maybe can't get to whatever goal we have in mind. We have to look at what they need to get in that goal and use what they have to get there. Seth, I speak English, and there are other people who speak English. I'm not sure. Looks like you're on LinkedIn. There's quite a few people making comments in English, so I'm not sure why you have to ask that, but absolutely not the only English speaking. So again, Brandon and Annalyn had 7 children. So their first 3, they tried to conform to society, what they wanted them to do, how they wanted them to sit and behave in school and do things. After the 3rd, I think Brandon's thinking about, he works with organizations and companies and utilizing strengths. And he thought, why don't we do this with our parenting? So he developed this program along with a psychologist and some other people. And him and his wife wrote the book. And this one is Christian based. So it does have Christian values in it, which I hold dear to my heart. If you know me at all, you know that. I do believe that the talents we have, we were given by God to perform specific things in society, to build up society. And that is how we reach our purpose, by finding that. Anyhow, so they want us to look at our kids differently. Now, as adults, I have had all 3 of my children take the Clifton Strengths Assessment, and I now know their top 5. Some of it was surprising to me to find, but after having conversations with my children, specifically my youngest daughter, and her result, I love to give her as an example, and she knows it, that she scored empathy in her top 5. So that means this is something that comes naturally to her. This isn't a skill she has learned. She just has it innately. And I was very surprised. And when I talked to her about it and told her my surprise, she said, "Mom, I understand how people feel. I just don't care." So, not that she's a careless or uncaring person, she's not. But she is not one to get wrapped up in people's feelings. With other people, I have a boss who's high empathy, and he tends to get wrapped up in people's feelings, and it tends to cloud him. So it becomes more of a challenge than a strength. So you do have to be careful. But learning more about the incredible family and raising your children by recognizing and learning their innate talents and their strengths and utilizing those to be successful in different areas. God, I wish I had that with my children. Um, they're all successful, as in they're happy, they're functioning adults. Um, some are well off financially, some are getting well off, and some will get there eventually. But in a sense, they're happy, well adjusted individuals utilizing their talents and strengths. But if I would have had that to nurture that since they were little, I just wonder what they'd be today. They would be so much more than they already are. It's okay, Seth. Don't worry about it. Anyhow, um, so there's different avenues for this program. They want to, Seth and his co-founders want this program to really sweep the nation, because as other coaches notice, and I feel myself when you look around at families in the world, and I know I don't have deep knowledge of international families, but I know here in America, the family is very broken, right? We don't have a solid family foundation anymore. In fact, if there are two parents in a household, usually they're both working. The kids are put in daycare. I'm not saying that's a bad choice or a wrong choice, but a lot of times the best energy we have as parents are utilized in different aspects of our life. And by the time we come home, or by the time we have time to give that real good attention to our children, it's gone. That energy is gone. We're easily frustrated by behaviors that don't fit into the round holes we want them to fit into. We lose our patience. We often react instead of instruct or nurture. Punishments will come out of anger because we're frustrated. So the family is broken. And when we have this brokenness, we're raising broken children that turn into broken adults. Jean-Pierre, I'm talking about incredible family, raising strength-based children, using strength-based parenting. Welcome. So when we have these broken adults, some of them have been so beaten down. You're stupid. You can't do it. And I don't mean just by family, by school, by society, right? Because maybe, like for me, math, I did okay, but wasn't really strong. And society thinks I need to be stronger in it. Well, you're just not smart enough and you can't do that. Or, a favorite, and hey, I used to tell my kids the same thing. You can do anything you want. So the world is your oyster, we hear. You can do anything. Well, guess what? We might be able to do anything, but can we do everything well? No. We're just not made that way. We're made to be good at certain things, and other people are made to be good at other certain things. When we come together as a team, we're a strong team. Same thing with our children. So if we see something good, let's say, like, take for example, my son, when he was in school, I knew what the environment of the classroom was like based on his grades. I can tell you how the teacher ran the class and how the students reacted based on my son's grades. Um, and that was especially seen in high school. So, and I think now, because he's 27, so he's been out of high school a while, what I'm hearing from other teacher friends is that it's worse now than it was then, because teachers really have no consequences to give to students. Parents are absentee parents, or they're juggling so much they can't give the attention that some students need. Let's face it, some kids, my oldest daughter was that way. She knew what she had to do. She did it. She would do extra credit, even if she didn't need it. I didn't have to worry about her. She took care of herself. My son needed a little bit more guidance, and my youngest daughter needed a little bit more guidance. But because of our situation for my son, I was able to be there and be more interactive and be an involved parent at the school. My younger one, I had to go back to work full time, and I wasn't there as much for her. Um, Luckily, I got an education with my son's needs to figure out what I needed to look for, and that helped. But if I would have known their strengths, um, I would have fought harder for my daughter to actually utilize her strengths more. In kindergarten, her teacher was amazing, but she started a family and left halfway. My daughter was very advanced. She was a preemie. She was 6 weeks premature. They said she would always be behind. Um, she also walked before she crawled, which was another sign of an issue with development. She was an excellent student. Like I said, she excelled in everything she did. If she wanted to do it, she excelled in it. But I didn't know what to look for. Her kindergarten teacher gave her extra work to do, her and there was another child in her class that was the same way. And she gave these two students the individual attention that they needed to excel to the level they were. They didn't get held back by other students, and the students didn't get dragged and get lost by them. Unfortunately, that ended when that teacher left. And I understand that the classrooms are large and it's hard to give individual attention. Like I said, my son needed more attention. He was not very organized. And I saw that when he was younger, saw it more as I became more aware. I saw it in hindsight. It's so much easier in hindsight to know what we should have done, right? So when we have these tools available, we really need to snatch them up. So I guess I'm probably rambling a lot, but really, if you know what your child needs to be successful and each child individually, I know as a parent, you would want to have that to give to your child, right? You want your child to be their best. In the book club I'm in, and we're talking about what we're seeing in our children, right? So on this website that you can go to, you can purchase assessments on what type of parent you are. You can purchase assessments to find out what your kids' strengths are by what you see. And I believe it's for 4 and up. When they get older, probably like 14, 15 years old, they can actually do the Clifton Strengths. But when they're younger, there wasn't a program to really address this. This is a great program for this. And you can see what kind of a parent you are, so you can utilize your strengths to help bring out the best of your children. And then the assessment for your children to know which strengths to nurture and how to utilize those strengths to address any challenges they have. So on the website, you have those options. And I would also encourage to buy the book. I don't know if it's still on sale. I got mine on sale on Amazon for $10. It was a couple weeks ago. I think the full price is only like $15. Play to Their Strengths by Annalyn and Brandon Miller. Highly, highly recommend it. Also on the website, it gives a lot of information about the program and parenting. It also has a community. We have a Facebook group that you can join. There's educational videos that talks about the types of parent you are. It also talks about the different strengths of the children, and they tell stories, and you can see how it resonates. Great learning, great sharing, and it's a community of support. Also, if anybody's interested in that, I can give you the link. See the little ticker I have going across, Incredible Family. You can DM me or comment, and I will send you a link to the site where you can get more information. And there's no obligation. Like I said, the Facebook community is a free group. The website has lots of free information. In fact, if you go to the website, you're not quite ready to get an assessment to move on and you'd like more information, Annalyn and Brandon offer a free PDF or ebook. I like to have my paper copies so I can refer to them, and plus I can show it, and I like to mark on it and take notes. So I'm a little old school that way, but they also have, like I said, the e version. This one is free. This PDF is free. Okay. And it talks about, it gives you a little guide to discovering your child's strengths and some of the stuff we're talking about in our book club right now. And like I said, there's videos in the Facebook group, and it's still being developed as we go along on how to get this out and get people interacted. Obviously, there's a program for coaching. We would love to see this not only in homes, but bring it to churches, maybe Mother's Day out programs in schools where we can reach parents to get this. We want to make it easier to parent your child to their strengths and to make them be their best. So one of the things they talk about is discovering strengths with the 5 E's. Okay, so the 5 E's are enthusiasm, ease, excellence, energy, and enjoyment. So these are things that you look for to see. If you haven't taken the assessment, these will give you clues to strengths. And sometimes some of the strengths are they're encompassing more than one thing. So it might not be exact. That's why the assessment is good also. Plus, with the results of the assessment, it's easier as a coach to give you the tools to use. And you get a report so you can also see. So enthusiasm. If there's things that you see that your child just gets so excited about, this is a clue that something in that is utilizing their strength. Okay, so in our book club, I was asked, well, where do you see that in your kids? I'm like, okay, my oldest kid is 28 and the youngest is 23. Let me try to think back. Now, my youngest just moved out, so it's very easy for me to come up with things that were even relevant as a 23-year-old of how I see her showing enthusiasm in things. But thinking back, I can think back to my children. My oldest, definitely books and learning. That child loved school. She loved to learn, period. Guess what? Learning is a Clifton strength, or learner is a Clifton Strengths talent theme, and it is in her top 5. And she loved to learn. Didn't matter what it was. She just loved the process of learning. My son was very hands-on, very social. So there's lots of different ways, talents that he could utilize for those aspects. But probably had I known what I know now through incredible family, I would have nurtured that. I was very concerned at the time because it was a concern of the teacher to keep him quiet, because we had to move him from students because he wouldn't be quiet. Believe it or not, his mom had the same issue in school. But anyway, I would have absolutely utilized more opportunities where he could flourish with his socialization, because that is definitely something that comes in handy all through life, to be able to talk to people. In fact, when he was older, I talked about this the other day. I did an interview with Ryan Noble Ceccarelli the other day, and I told a story about my son. He's an intelligent child, well, adult now, young adult. And when he went to college, we knew that it was sink or swim for him. We just knew that he did not have the focus. He was not good on schoolwork. If you sat there and lectured him, he had other things he wanted to think about. His mind would just travel. He would not be able to focus unless it was something that really, really held his interest. He would hyper focus. And one of the things that gave us a clue to that when he was a child was, our TV. Okay, so if there was a TV program on that he liked, he sat and was so hyper focused. There was a point in life that we were worried he had a hearing issue, because we could stand right behind him and yell at him, and he appeared like he didn't hear anything. So that's when we figured out he had the hyper focus. But when it was time for him to go to college, like I said, we knew it would be sink or swim for him. And he sank. Okay. So he did not make it past the first year of college and did not do well in the first year of college. He came home and got a job, and it was hard. I don't know about most kids who try just to go get a job while they're in high school or just out of high school. It's hard. Now, it used to be when we were younger, we could go up and talk to somebody. They'd get to know us while we're inquiring about a job, and we could get a job. Now, you go in on the computer. Most of the time, you have to do it on your home computer, put in an application, and it is just put in amongst a bunch. He looks no different than anybody else. So it was hard for my children to get their first job. I didn't have a company. My husband didn't have a company where we could hire them and they make great money. Didn't do that. Um, they worked retail, restaurant was a way in. My son actually got his first job, because a friend of his worked at that establishment, and he got a job in a department, which happened to be in retail stores here. It's probably that way international too. They're kind of like franchised into the store. So he was a Target employee, and he worked in the mobile phone department. It was actually owned by Radio Shack. I think they went out of business, so now it's owned by somebody else. But so he was technically a Starbucks, a Target employee, but worked for Radio Shack. It's like my oldest daughter, she went to work in Kroger at a Starbucks. So it was a Starbucks brand, but it was owned and ran by Kroger. So she was a Kroger employee, but she learned a lot of the skills that they had through Starbucks. Anyway, that's another aside. So my son went to work in this mobile phone department, and guess what talent he was able to use? His talent for, it's probably more would fall in the Clifton strengths of Woo, for this incredible family. Now it's just gonna lose my mind. I'll have to look and see what it is. But it's very social, because really when you're shopping for a cell phone, a lot of people already know what cell phone they want, right? Because we go do research, we look at reviews. There's all kinds of advertisements by what's out there and what kind of things your phones have on them. So you pretty much, you already know if you want an Android, you want an iPhone, you want a Google phone. So you go in there. So really the sales aspect comes from getting to know the person, right? I think probably there's a lot of salespeople out there that can attest to that. It's making that connection to the person and building that relationship. And really that's almost anything we do, right? I think Brian Robeson, he's got a book out and he talks about sales. And that's what he says. Sales is in every part of our life. Anything we're doing, even now, I'm selling myself to you, right? Why are you here? If we didn't have some kind of a connection, if something that I was saying wasn't ringing with you, you wouldn't be here. So he was making those connections in the sales with people and doing very well, so that he moved up into, I'm going to say, this company, right? So a small department with very few employees at the Target Mobile department. But he loved sales because he loved people. He loved talking with people and connecting over their stories. Wow. If I would have realized when he was a child that was his strength and utilized that to nurture him and grow that, I wonder what he would be. I'm going to tell you, when he went to college, one of the things he looked at going into was either politics or a lawyer. Now, I'm not sure. My oldest daughter became a lawyer. I don't think that was a right fit for my son, so it was a good thing he didn't go there. Is not as much of the interaction as he would need. But to think about, if you would have that knowledge of your child to be able to nurture the things that they are naturally best at. What amazing adults now. I think my kids are amazing as adults. So what even more amazing adults they would become if I could have had those tools and that knowledge as a parent to nurture my child. And not only that, but recognize what I have. Um, One of the videos and one of the strengths that they talk about for a parenting strength is being the trainer, right? So the trainer actually takes the time to teach the kids the steps and works with them and shows with them. So they know if that's a strength, they can see how they can work that in with their child. Anyway, so we talked about enthusiasm and then I added a bunch of stuff. About enthusiasm. So another way of discovering strengths without utilizing the assessment is ease, right? So when we look at our children, we look at the ease of doing things. So that's a strength. So for like my oldest daughter, I said everything homework related was ease, right? Problems in ease. Anything where it took something where she had to learn something, it was just an ease for her. Um, my son putting things together, helping how things work, doing with his hands was all easy. Making friends, easy. That boy would talk to anyone, and he loved it. Ease. My youngest, cooking. Um, Now she had a hard time. She had a hard time with math. Money was a huge issue for her. Time was a huge issue for her, those numbers. But cooking and baking, even with measuring and figuring stuff out, ease. So she's overcoming the challenges of math through something that she loves. So that's ease. Excellence is another thing. You look at your children, what do they naturally not only do easily, but what do they excel at naturally, right? So look for those clues in your children to find their strengths. Energy. What do they get a lot of energy about? I mean, I think we can all relate to that, right? If we have a meeting we have to go to and it's a boring topic, we become like, oh, man, I need a cup of coffee to tackle this. But if it's something that we love and enjoy, let's go. Let's go do it. Come on, I'm ready, right? You look for that energy along with the enthusiasm. And the last of the 5 E's is enjoyment. What do your children really enjoy doing? So, what do they look forward to every day? With my son, of course, him being the only boy, he tried a lot of sports. We encouraged our daughters to do the same thing along with dance. All my kids played baseball and soccer. My youngest, I still remember this clearly out on the baseball field. Now, she was an older toddler, so we started young to give them activities and to socialize. But remembering her squatting in the baseball field, playing in the dirt, I don't remember if she found a stick or if she was using her finger, playing in the dirt, and here comes the ball. I don't think she saw it roll past her. She's too busy playing in the dirt. Obviously, no enjoyment for baseball whatsoever. But we weren't looking for that at all. So give your child opportunities to try different things and look for the 5 E's: the enthusiasm, the ease, the excellence, the energy, and the enjoyment. And then once you have an idea of what some of those things are, you can utilize those to work with your child on things that they have challenges, right? So let's see, off the top of my head, let's say spelling was an issue and they couldn't learn their spelling words. So let's see, traditional ways, asking them constantly, right? Actually, yeah. We'll stick with that because I'm thinking my youngest daughter had problems with her times tables. So we could do flashcards where they have to learn them. We'll be quizzing them back and forth. We make them read and study. We make them write them. Those are the ways we taught them to learn how to study spelling and to get better at it. But what if your child didn't learn best that way? What if your child learned best with their hands? What can we do to teach them to spell using their hands? Well, let's see. We had magnetic letters back when I was a child and when my kids are small. So you can stick them on the fridge and ask them to spell words. They can move them around and it's very visual. You can make it a game for them. You can give them clay. Have them actually create the word with letters. Or if they're younger, um, you can have them create the object and then spell it. There's all kinds of different ways when we figure out what lights up our child. One of the terms that I like to say is when you see their eyes shining, right? When they're lit up, then you know something is connecting and working well. So I really wanted to give an interview of this program. This is something that I truly believe can change the world because we can make our families stronger, raise stronger, happier, well-adjusted children. Our world can only be better. So this is a great place to start. Anyone who is interested in the Incredible Family, just learning more, let me know, pop a comment, send me a DM. I'd be happy to send you a link that you can go to and check out the information. And if you have questions, let me know. I would be happy either to work with you to get that question answered or send you someplace to get the right answer. Again, I just truly, truly believe in this program. I think I've said many times I have two things that I really care about that are my loves, and it's cats and kids. And it breaks my heart when a kid isn't being nurtured or loved the way they need. And when they can't get it when they're younger, it's harder to give it to them when they're older because they've been, teenage years are rough anyway. Then if they didn't get the nurturing they need and we no longer know how to communicate or relate to them, it's going to make it harder on everybody. So if we can start when they're younger, it's going to make parenting easier, more fruitful, more enjoyable, and it'll also give the kid a bigger and better foundation. So I know people are doing a lot on this Saturday. So I really appreciate all the comments, and I will get back and respond to all the comments once I'm off the live. And I appreciate everyone so much for being here. Please feel free to share this live with your network or send the link to somebody who needs it. I'm live here on LinkedIn. I'm live on my Cultivate and Thrive Facebook. So it'll be there, and also on my Cultivate and Thrive YouTube channel. I appreciate anybody who will subscribe and share, comment. Feedback is welcome. If there's topics you want me to cover, I'd be happy to cover that. Let me know. I'm looking at bringing more guests on in my live, but I'm really looking for people who will provide value, not just conversation, although I think we're going to throw some fun ones in there. Also, just a little plug for my podcast that I do with Shreyas Kushik. He's from India, so it's an international podcast. We're hosted on Anchor, so Spotify, Google, Apple. We appreciate any downloads, listening, reviews, and feedback. We're very new to this. It's Get Set to Thrive, and we have a website, getsettothrive.wordpress.com, and we appreciate reviews, sharing, feedback. That's all about coaching and helping people understand coaching and providing value. And in the future, we will be hitting on this too, I'm sure. Again, I love sharing this. I think families are so important, and it's important to give our kids what they need to grow and become productive, well-adjusted, happy adults. Happiness is more important to me than anything. Living with a joy deep inside that no one can take from you. So please feel free to share my this live with people, and I appreciate and welcome all your feedback, and I will be responding to all your comments. Thank you so very much, everyone, for coming. Until next time, have a great, great Saturday.